Hello, this is Lord Thuban, and I'm here today to discuss the UFC Heavyweight Division, specifically to judge the UFC Heavyweight Division for its weight cap of 265 pounds. That's a real problem for lots of reasons. For one, it discredits the UFC. It makes its champions seem as if they're pretenders to the throne, even if they're not. Why? Because when you're the champion, you should be willing to take on all challengers, regardless of their size. And most people don't think about a person in excess of 265 pounds fighting, but think about it. There's a lot of people out there. For instance, an offensive lineman. If they were ever interested in being in the UFC, for instance, they would be ineligible. And a lot of these people aren't necessarily fat. Even if they cut down, they still probably couldn't make 265 pounds. You go, oh, well, that's debatable. All right, well, let's use another example, such as a guy of Shaquille O'Neal's stature. Here's a guy that's 7 foot plus and 300 plus easy. And this guy on his best day couldn't make it down to 265 pounds. And if he did manage to make it down to 265 with his size and muscle and stature, he wouldn't be Shaq anymore. He would be Manute Bol. And that's a perfect example of how the UFC does not want a guy that big in there. Could you imagine a guy with Shaq size or someone similar who had a 7-8 inch height advantage, a foot reach advantage with good stand up? You're gonna get owned, man, for the most part, unless you get lucky and pull a big overhand right. Also, you say, all right, we'll just take this guy to the ground. Have you seen how hard it is to take tall, lanky guys down with good sprawl skills, such as Bones Jones, or people that are just good in the clinch, such as Anderson Silva? Yeah, imagine trying to take a guy down Shaq size. Or let's say, for instance, Big Show size. Yeah, it's not happening. So all of a sudden, even though there's not a whole lot of those guys around, they are around. The other day, I saw a guy that was absolutely huge, and I'm not used to seeing too many guys bigger than me, but this guy was a whole head taller than me, and probably outweighed me by 100 pounds. Yeah, he had some table muscle, but this guy was 400 pounds easy. He looked like one of these power lifters. Now, to say that, well, there's a lot of reasons why they might want it at 265. They might justify that, well, fighters just don't have stamina that are above 265. Well, that's a lie. Perfect example, Shaq. He played the NBA well above 265. And if you can play NBA ball, you could easily transition, if you have the skills, into MMA. Also, a larger fighter controls the tempo of the fight. You don't believe me? Let's take a lightweight versus a heavyweight. The tempo of that fight is going to be determined by the heavyweight. Period. Period. And that heavyweight doesn't have to be as fast as that lightweight. That lightweight has to be faster than that heavyweight to remain alive and to not get hurt and get knocked out. So that's a perfect example. And it's shameful. Besides that, this kind of stuff occurs. I would like it undo when you had in the 50s, blacks not allowed to play in the NBA. And these people were walking around thinking that they were the greatest, these guys in the NBA. And if you wanted to see a black athlete in the NBA, you had to watch the Harlem Globetrotters. Could you imagine if one of these 50s NBA Ballers was to warp into today's time on the court and see all these guys 6.5, 7 feet jumping above the rim. They would have wanted to curl up in a fetal position and pray for the nightmare to go away. And that's just what the UFC wants to avoid. They want to avoid some big Andre the Giant guy that has some MMA skills making their champions look bad. Take, for instance, Cain Velasquez. Yeah, he's a good fighter. He has excellent stamina, good ground game, decent stand-up, questionable chin. That's right, I said questionable chin. Any fighter that fights Cain Velasquez has a puncher's chin. Let's face it, he doesn't have a chin like Dos Santos or Big Country or Mark Hunt. You hit Cain on the chin good, he's going down. All you got, and if you don't knock him out, just follow up on it, and he's going away real quick. Now that's not to say take away what Cain's done, because in spite of his questionable chin, whatever you want to call it, he's done a great job. But I'm just here to say the face of UFC will change just as the face of basketball changed. You let these big guys in, man, it's going to change forever. And that's what they want to avoid. So if you guys, and I'm speaking, I'm going to drop some names. I'm going to do some name dropping. Dana White, and I know he's not entirely responsible, but you don't hear him whining about this weight class. And you don't hear these heavyweight fighters, who are good. I'm not taking anything away from their ability, but you don't hear them complaining either to let the bigger guys in, because they'll tell you it's no fun going against some guy 400 pounds that knows how to. Nobody wants to wrestle with a sumo. I can tell you, it's no fun. It's really not. And here, but you have it marketed as these are the toughest men on the planet. And maybe they are. Okay? But maybe they're not. But you'll never know unless you let those big guys that they're trying to keep out enter the octagon. That's right. How can you call yourself the heavyweight champion, which essentially means you're king of the mountain, man. You're the baddest dude around, when you won't fight anybody and everybody. A champ, a heavyweight champ, is supposed to take on all challengers. And that 265-pound cap, it tarnishes that belt. It sullies the shine. It takes away from the shine. That needs to go away. Yeah.